Alright, shalom brothers. Welcome to another show. In this particular show we're going to be discussing the difference between Adam and Edom. Okay, because as you brothers know, the word Adam comes from the Hebrew word Adama, which means ground, and Edom comes from the Hebrew word Adawam, which means red. Those are two different words. Alright, have nothing to do with each other. There's no similarities in it as far as definition is concerned. The only similarities is that they look similar. They kind of spelt a little similar, but they're two totally different words. And in today's lesson, Lord's will, we're going to go into it and give you brothers a better understanding of the word Adam and of the word Edom. Alright, and it's going to be a little tedious, you know, so those of you brothers that sincere that want to learn this, then you know, more power to you. I know you brothers are going to get into it, but you got a lot of guys on here on different sites that are just on there just to cause trouble and just looking for entertainment. So stuff like this is going to be like an insect repellent to them, you know, like the truth is an insect repellent to them bugs and insects. All right, so without further ado, we're just going to get started. The first thing I want to go into is whenever you read, like, I want to deal with this Strong's Concordance first and foremost. Now, when you have the Strong's Concordance, right, the Strong's Concordance we use only as a reference book. We don't take it for face value because they go off on the Strong's Concordance, as well as many other books they go off on. Even the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary that we use, they go off on. But now, when you go into the Strong's Concordance, right, and you look up the word red or Edom or Adam, you know, you'll have a series of numbers. And what they did was the Strong's Concordance, which we're gonna get into, what they did was they took all these different numbers and bunched them together, right, and put you know, these words, Hebrew words and Greek words, in alphabetical order. And basically they push it out to the public, and then when you look at it, you figure, well, that's the way it's got to be. It's got to be this way because that's the way this number is and that number is. This number's following the other number, so they all got to be the same word, right? What the Strong's Concordance is basically is the words that are written in the Bible in the original Hebrew and the Greek. They took numbers, they alphabetized them and took numbers and added the numbers to each letter or to each word. And then they gave their definition of what the words are supposed to be, you know. And in that numbering, they went off, you know, on some certain definitions, you know. So matter of fact, I just want to bring this up just so you brothers can see. This is from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, and this is Strong's Concordance. You know, when you look this up, right now, it says here, this is the devil right here. This devil, so-called Jew, looks like. Says Strong's Exhaustive Concordance of the Bible, generally known as Strong's Concordance, is a concordance of the King James KJV that was constructed under the direction of Dr. James Strong from between 1822 and 1894. It says, and first published in 1890, Dr. Strong was professor of exegetical theology at Drew Theological Seminary. At the time, it is an exhaustive cross-reference of every word in the KJV back to the word in the original text. Unlike other biblical reference books, the purpose of Strong's Concordance is not to provide content or commentary about the Bible, but to provide an index to the Bible. This allows the reader to find words where they appear in the Bible. This index allows a student of the Bible to re-find the phrase or passage previously studied, or to compare how the same topic is discussed in different parts of the Bible, right? It says each original language word is given an entry number in the dictionary of those original language words listed in the back of the concordance. These have become known as the Strong's numbers. The main concordance lists each word that appears in the KJV Bible in alphabetical order, with each verse in which it appears listed in order of its appearance in the Bible, with a snippet of surrounding text, including the words in italics, appearing to the right of Scripture's reference is the Strong's number. This allows the user of the concordance to look up the meaning of the original language word in the associated dictionary in the back. thereby showing how the original language word was translated into the English word in the KJV Bible. It says Strong's Concordance is not a translation of the Bible, nor is it intended as a translation tool. The use of Strong's number is not a substitute for professional translation of the Bible from Hebrew and Greek into English by those with formal training in ancient languages and the literature of the cultures in which the Bible was written. So this basically is not a translation. It's not a translation of the Bible. All it is they took those words and they put them in order so you can find the phrases, and then at the end they put, you know, what certain words meant, you know. But these guys, they were not experts in the Hebrew or the Greek. All right. So it says, since Strong's Concordance identifies the original words in Hebrew and Greek, strong numbers are sometimes misinterpreted by those without adequate training to change the Bible from its accurate meaning simply by taking the words out of cultural context. And one guy that comes to mind is False Prophet 666 and these other guys that take these books, these Edomite books, for face value. You know, matter of fact, before we continue on, I want to get a quick scripture here. Matter of fact, let me pull up this thing here in the book of Ecclesiastes. I'll pull up the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 12, I believe it is. This is Solomon speaking to his son. It says, and further by these, my son, be admonished of making many books, there is no end. And much study is a weariness of the flesh. So when you're reading all these different books, they're going to tell, first of all, who's publishing all these different books? The so-called white man, Esau. You know, so they're not going to make it easy for you to find the truth, because their main object and their main goal is to hide the truth, because they're trying to hide who they are. Just like they're trying to hide who our people are, that we're the real Israelites. So it says, and further by these, my son, be admonished of making many books, there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. You know, so you can study all these books out there that they have until you're blue in the face, but it's just some of that stuff is gonna bug you out. So what you do, you stick to the scriptures, to the basics of the scriptures, and then when your foundation is set in the truth, then you're able to venture out and you'll be able to know what's bullshit and what's not. You know, and then even at that, you still don't deal with certain books out there like the Talmud and all that other bullshit. All right, like certain guys did, and where they at now? They're not around anymore, because they were going to show, you know, they're going to show the men that were teaching it. They're going to show them this is how it's done. The smackdown on hell, and you know, like this guy Abraham Lincoln. It says, and further by these, my son, be admonished of making many books, there is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. Now I want to get one more scripture before we continue on, and this is the book of Isaiah, the 34th chapter, all right, and the 16th verse, and it says, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. So don't be worrying about those other books. Like we've been telling you, brothers, the only reason why we use the Strong's Concordance or different translations of the Bible, you know, like the NIV or whatever, is just to make a point. You know, we don't get into those. We don't read all those books. We just get certain points out of it. We might look something up as a reference. You know, we might look up a Hebrew word in the concordance as a reference, or a Greek word in the concordance as a reference. And if they're telling the truth, and if it fits with the scriptures, then we use it. And we show, look, brothers, this is what it says, because it goes right along with what the scriptures are saying. And that's it. So it says, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them. All right. So going back to this right here, it says, since Strong's Concordance identifies the original words in Hebrew and Greek, Strong's numbers are sometimes misinterpreted by those without adequate training to change the Bible from its accurate meaning simply by taking the words out of cultural context. And these guys, even that put this this Strong's Concordance together, they went off. They went totally off on certain things. You know, certain things they're on point on, and other things they went off. Whether they did it on purpose or not, you know, we don't know. But for the most part, we believe they did it on purpose, because when the so-called white man came into power, his main thing was to suppress the truth. You know, so that's what they did. They suppressed the truth. It says the use of Strong's numbers does not consider figures of speech, metaphors, idioms, common phrases, cultural references, references to historical events, or alternate meanings used by those of the time period to express their thoughts in their own language at the time. So, because what did it say in the prologue to the book of Sirach, or the book of Ecclesiasticus, that things which are translated out of the Hebrew tongue and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. All right, so these people be going off. All right, it says, and such professionals and amateurs alike must consult a number of contextual tools to reconstruct these cultural backgrounds, many scholarly Greek and Hebrew lexicons, so on and so forth. But that's the main point, that these people, they really, when they put this together, they just put it together as a reference. They didn't put it together as a commentary on the Bible, or the supreme breakdown of all these different words. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to get started, and like we were mentioning before, there's different letters for each word that they have. They have like a number next to it, you know, and each word has its own own number. Like I was mentioning the word red, or Edom, or Adam, and you'll see different numbers. All right, so what I want to do is before I get started, I'm gonna hit Genesis 25 and 25, because you have this asswipe, false prophet 666, that said that Genesis 25, the word that's used there is the same word that's used in the book of 1 Samuel when it's used to describe King David as ruddy. Right, which the same word is there, but we're going to get some understanding on it, which the brother Karatazar already went over it anyway. So this is Genesis 25 and 25. Right, it says, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. All right, so he came out red. Right, now when you come down here and you look up the word red, what do you have there? Adamanya. All right, so it says red, ruddy, of Esau as infant. So they remember, they added this ruddy because the term ruddy does not mean red like the so-called white man. And we're gonna keep going into it to show you. Now, when you look in the Hebrew, right? This is the Hebrew text here. Here in the Hebrew text, it says Adamawanya, but then when they wrote it down over here in the Hebrew, over here they put Adamanya. You know, so sometimes they drop certain letters, they drop certain, because in the Hebrew sometimes when you create a phrase, sometimes you drop certain letters, sometimes you add certain letters, depending on the text, or depending on the whether if it's past, present, or future. All right, so now that we saw that, that's the word Adamawanya there, which was red. Now let's go to the book of 1 Samuel. Right, we're going to go to the book of 1 Samuel, the 16th chapter, and to show you that they do have the same word there. All right, 1 Samuel 16 and 12. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy. This is talking about King David. Now he was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to. And the Lord said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he. Now let's go scroll down and look up the word ruddy. Right here, the word ruddy, they have what? Adamanya. Right? Red, ruddy, of Esau as infant. Right? Going back. Alright, now when you go to the actual Hebrew again, and you look for the word ruddy in here, once again, Adamawanya. Alright? And that's the same word that you saw in Genesis, the 25th chapter and the 25th verse. Now why is the same word there? Like the brother Karatazar brought out, that was the only word that they had to describe somebody that was light skinned, and I'm gonna prove that to you. Now I don't know if the brother brought this source out. I mean, I did watch the whole series, but I didn't notice if he brought this out or not. But this is from the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, right? The Compact Bible Dictionary. Now when you look up the word ruddy on page 510, it says ruddy, a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion, in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews. So they're letting you know that this word red was a contrast, or this word ruddy was a contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrew. So what does that mean? It says a word used to refer to red, which is Esau's color, Adawam, or fair complexion, which they use the word ruddy for King David because he was a light-skinned Jake. Alright, so it says the word used to refer to a red or fair complexion. So you can use it either or. It's alternate. You can alternate it. Why? Because those colors were different from the dark skin of the Hebrew, as we're going to read on down, and it says it. A word used to refer to a red or fair complexion in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews. And then it gives you 1 Samuel 16 and 12, which we just read, which is talking about King David. 1 Samuel 17 and 42, which is also dealing with King David. Right, and then when you read there in the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, where it uses the word Songs of Solomon 5 and 10, they went off on that. All right, they don't really know what that means. They're trying to add it in there as a different, they're trying to put a different spin to it. All right, but for the most part, that definition was on point. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to give you some examples. Now, I'm going to go to the book of Genesis, the 25th chapter, and the 30th verse. Let me roll up here real quick. Genesis 25, and I want to show you something. All right. All right, this is Genesis 25 and 30. It says, "And Esau," I'm sorry, I started at 29. "And Jacob sawed pottage, which was red, which had raw meat in it. And Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom." Now let's go to the Hebrew. And he says, "Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage." All right. Therefore was his name called Edom. Now here, when you see the word red, you have the number 122. And the number 122 here says Adam, right? Red, ruddy, of man, horse, heifer, garment, water, lentils. But it's see here, they bunch it all together, right? Now I'm gonna show you that that it doesn't always necessarily mean that. Now in this particular verse, the word red signified Esau's skin color because he has a lack of pigment, and what happens is his blood shows forth through his through that pale skin that he has. That's where he gets his color from, red. All right. Now I want to go from there to just to show you something else, because now the number reference there. Let me go back here real quick. The number reference there for red is what? Strong's Concordance, Hebrew 122. All right. So keep that in mind. 122. Matter of fact, let me just highlight that. 122. Now let's go from there to the book of 2 Kings. Right. The 3rd chapter. Oops, my bad. Let me go back here. 2 Kings, the 3rd chapter. And let's scroll down to the 22nd verse. They'll show you how much of a devil these devils are. It says, "And they rose up early in the morning, and the sun shone upon the water, as the Moabites saw the water on the other side as red as blood." Now you brothers know what color blood is. Blood is not brown. Blood is red, like Esau's color. Now we're going to scroll down here, right? And we're going to look for the red right here, as you see on the other side, red. What number do they have there? 122, which is red. Right? Now they don't tell you that it means blood, see? They conveniently left the word blood out. Now the word blood, or the color of blood, is not brown. It's not a light brown. It's not a dark brown. It's red. It's the same color as Esau is. All right. Now, what I want to do is I want to go from there. I'm going to go. You saw right there the reference was number 122. See, I'm just showing you this just so you can get an idea of how these devils operate. That's 122, right? It used the same term for Esau, right? In Genesis 25, as you can see here, the red for the red pottage, right? Right there, red. Now, in Kings, it show you the same root word, number 122, for blood. See, 122 to describe the color of blood, and dam is blood, right? Now let's go from there to the book of Isaiah, the 63rd chapter, and the 2nd verse. This is dealing with Yahushua when he comes back. It says, I'll start at the 1st verse. "Who is this that cometh from Basra with dyed garments from Basra? this that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Verse 2. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat. Now when you tread in the wine fat, what color is your garments going to turn? They're going to turn red. When you in the war, in the battle, and you kill somebody, let's say you might have like a light colored garment on, and the blood splatters on your garment. What color is that garment going to turn? It's going to turn red. Now let's go from there to the Hebrew, and let's look at the word red. Wherefore art thou red? Adam, right? And what was the number of reference on that? Right there, number 122. All right, but now to show you how much of a demon these devils are, right? Because remember, as what we read about the numbers for the Strong's Concordance, that these are just numbers that they put on these words. They put this together. This isn't the way that it was written down. This is the way they threw it together. Now when you go here, let me go here. I have to come back to that. I'm sorry. Just bear with me 1 second. Now when you go here and you go to the let's go from there. Let's go to the book of Numbers, the 19th chapter. Numbers, the 19th chapter, and the 2nd verse. It says, this is the ordinance of the law which the Lord hath commanded, saying, speak unto the children of Israel that they bring thee a red heifer, right? A red heifer without spot, wherein is no blemish, and upon which never came yoke. So this red here, you see what the word red there is? Red, the red heifer. They got 122, but that's just like I said, that's a number that they put on there, because this particular red should have been Adama, just regular Adama. The other red, where it refers to the clothes stained in our blood, the color of blood, the color of the pottage that Esau ate, is supposed to all be red, Adawam. All right, this is just something they put on there. So it says a red, number 122. So this particular red really is Adam, like a brown, like a brownish type, like a brownish red. So Adama here, red, ruddy, of man, horse, heifer, garment, water, lentils. This is they totally going off here. It's used of man, horse, and heifer in this particular verse, right? And then it's used as garments, because there's red garments, there's garments that are dyed garments, and then if a water turns red, like it did during the time of the Egyptians, during the time of Moses, it was red. It wasn't no brown. And then lentils, that you have red lentils. So it's two different words, but they try to bunch it both of those words into one number, just to show you how these devils operate. Now let's go from there to the book of Zechariah, just to show you another example. Zechariah, and then you know, certain cats out there don't know any better. They don't really study. So you got dickheads like this guy, false prophet 666. He'll come and he'll bring this shit out, and he'll put it in a form that people believe, oh, that was so scholarly. Oh my, what a scholarly way of putting it. When the Lord ain't dealing with that. What matter of fact, before we read on, let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter. And this guy will have you believe that's how you're supposed to teach the Bible. You know, you're supposed to be like a scholar. You're supposed to get this book and you're supposed to get that book. That's not how you teach the scriptures. This is the book of 1 Corinthians 2:1. And I, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellency of speech, because Paul was rude in speech. You know, he was rude. He didn't speak like proper to people. You know, back then he used curse words, because then he called that one cat, he called him thou whited wall. Back then those were fighting words. That's why they smote him across the mouth, which they were being wicked. You know, because obviously when he called it dude a whited wall, that you know, it must have meant something bad, because they wouldn't have did that to him. All right. So Paul said, I came not with excellency of speech or of wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of the Most High. Even though Paul was a learned man, you know, he was a learned man. He could have just came, you know, and broke it down, so-called scholarly, like they say. But that's not what this truth is all about. That's Esau's shit. It says, for I determined not to know anything among you save Yahushua and him crucified. And I was with you in weakness and in fear and in much trembling. And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom. So the Lord he ain't looking for that. He ain't looking for them. Okay, you have to have this certificate, and you have to have that certificate. You have to have gone to this school. You got to purchase these particular books. No, all you need is the scriptures. Like I said, some of them other books that we use, they're just reference books. That's it. You know, we don't have no college degrees or none of that bullshit. We don't need none of that, because that's not how the Lord teaches His word. He said He reveals the secrets unto the meek. So it says, and my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power. All right. So now let's go back to where we were at. This is the book of Zechariah chapter 1 verse 8, to show you another example how this devil took one number 122, and he put it on actual red things, you know, like blood, the color of blood, you know, in garments, and then he put the same number, which that's not in the scriptures. He took the same number and put it where it says red heifer, and in this scripture here. Let's get to it. It says here, I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse, and he stood among the myrtle trees that were in the bottom. So now as you scroll down, upon a red, what's the number there? 122. So this devil is slick, man. You know, this devil is a low life. He's slick. And then when you look at a red heifer and when you look at a red horse, they do look like brown skinned jakes. Of course they do. But that was a totally different word than the word that describes red pottage, the color of blood, the color of a dyed garment, because they used to dye garments back then. You had tanners back then, and the tanners, their job was to dye garments in different colors. All right, and the red that they would dye it in was like a bright red. All right, now let's go from there to the book of Leviticus chapter 13. A matter of fact, and then the red when they called Esau or Edom, when they called him red, and when they called like the color of blood, you know, there was like they did that like in a jesting manner. All right, that's why it says in the Josephus, which I have to pull up real quick right here. This is what it says in the Josephus. This is Antiquities of the Jews, book number 2, chapter 1, section 1. Right? It says, after the death of Isaac, his son divided their habitation respectively, nor did they retain what they had before. But Esau departed from the city of Hebron and left it to his brother, and dwelt in Seir, and ruled over Idumea. He called the country by that name from himself, for he was named Edom or Edom, Adawam, which appellation he got on the following occasion. One day, returning from the toil of hunting very hungry, it was when he was a child in age, he lighted on his brother when he was getting ready lentil pottage for his dinner, which was of a very red color, on which account he the more earnestly longed for it. Now keep in mind, they're saying that this pottage was a very red color, so he got his name Edom, right, which is red, from eating this red pottage. But now keep that in mind, very red color. Just want you to keep that in mind. On which account he the more earnestly longed for it. Matter of fact, let me I'm gonna highlight this, and then we're gonna come back to it. He lighted on his brother when he was getting ready lentil pottage for his dinner, which was of a very red color. On which account he the more earnestly longed for it, and desired him to give him some of it to eat. But he made advantage of his brother's hunger, and forced him to resign up to him his birthright, and he being pinched with famine resigned it up to him under an oath. When it came that on account of the redness of the pottage, right, the redness of the pottage, he was in a way of jest by his contemporaries called Edom. For the Hebrews call what is red Edom or Adawam. So that was like in a joking manner. So how in the hell they're gonna call this guy in a joking manner? They're gonna call him red, and then Adam, that means the same as Adam. How the hell are they gonna call Esau red in a joking manner, right? But then that refers to the name Adam. Because it doesn't. The name Edom is a totally different word from the word Adam. You have Adam, which is Adama, which means ground, which is different shades of brown, and you have Edom, which is Adawam, which is different shades of red, basically. All right. Now let's go back here. I want to show you something because I want to come back to this. Now this is in the Septuagint, right? This is the Septuagint in the Greek, right? This is Genesis, as you can see here, and we're going to scroll down to the 25th chapter, which is there, 25, and we're going to scroll down to the 25th verse. I'm going to show you, brothers, something, right? Now here, when you read, this is 25 and 25, right? When you read through here, it says, and came forth the firstborn, and they have a Greek word here, pudakes, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And what does it say? Fiery red, which is what? Very red, like a fiery red. All right, now a fiery red has nothing to do with brown color. Now I'm going to show you another one real quick. I'm going to come back to this and I'm going to show you something else. This is the book of 1 Samuel, the 16th chapter, when it speaks about David. Now it uses the same word here, pudakes, but now let's see what they say about the translation. Let's see what they say about that translation. 1 Samuel 16 and 12. It says, and he sent and brought him, and he was ruddy with the beauty of the eyes. So why didn't they say, why didn't they use fiery red here? Why didn't they use fiery red to describe King David? Because there's two different colors, there's two different meanings. And this one, it denoted the color of Esau. It says, because this is when he first, and it says, and came forth the firstborn fiery red, and the first came out red. So he was like a bright red, as opposed to the same word that was used here to describe the color of the skin, ruddy, which was a dark brown, or should I say a light brown in King David's case. All right, so now I want to get something else real quick. Just bear with me, and I'm going to come back to this. Now this right here, this is in the BibleGateway.com, and then this is the New Living Translation. Like we said, we just use these books like this for just a reference, just to show you a point. You know, now here Genesis 25:25 in the New Living Translation, which they go off on this too, but in this point they are correct. It says the first one was very red at birth and covered with thick hair like a fur coat, so they named him Esau. So it says the first one was very red. What do we read here in the book of Genesis 25:25 in the Septuagint? Pudakes, fiery red, meaning he was very red, a different color red than different color of red, and it's a different color from Adam or the other people that came of Adam's color. All right, it's a totally different color. It has nothing to do with being brown skin. All right. Then here, 1 Samuel, like I said, 16 and 12, pudakes, ruddy. And everywhere you look this term up in the Greek Septuagint, where you have this word ruddy, it says the same thing. It says ruddy. Not once did it say fiery red. All right, which proves what the brother Karatazar brought out, that when they use that word in the Hebrew, which we're gonna go back to it. When they use this word in the Hebrew in the Genesis 25 and 25, where it says and the first came out red, and they use the word right here adamawanya, they use it to denote a light color. All right, that was the only word that they had to denote a light color. All right, which King David this word was used, but it was used in a different text to denote his skin color, but to denote his skin color as being a light-skinned brown man. In this case here, it was to denote Esau's skin color as being a red man. All right, as we read here. Again, let me show you that again. This is Genesis 25:25 in the Septuagint. Pudakes, fiery red. On 1 Samuel 16 and 12, pudakes, ruddy. The same word is used, but it's two different definitions. As we read in the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, where it said ruddy, a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion. Red meaning fiery red, like in the case of Esau, fiery red, or as in the case of the New Living Translation, very red. and in the case of ruddy as being a light-skinned Jake, like King David was. All right, so this, it's all a play on words, brothers. It's all a play on words, right? And this is the book of Leviticus, the 13th chapter, and the 24th verse. And I want to just use this to also prove more about different textures or colors of the flesh. It says, or if there be, this is dealing with the plague of leprosy, or if there be any flesh in the skin whereof there is a hot burning, right? And the quick flesh that burneth have a white bright spot, somewhat reddish or white. So here it says somewhat reddish. When you scroll down here to the word reddish, number 125, it says Adamadum. Now what the word Adamadum really is, it's really a combination of two words, right? Which is really Adawam, which is red, and Dum, which is blood. Adawam Dum, red blood. Alright, so it says reddish or be reddish because the Esau's color is totally different from Adam's color. Alright, so I just wanted to bring that out to you, brothers. Right, when it says they're reddish, it's Adawam Dum, which is red blood. Alright, Adawam Dum. Now, just show you that over here real quick. It says here, and I'll just read that again. Or if there be any flesh in the skin whereof there is a hot burning, and the quick flesh that burneth, speaking about the flesh, have a white bright spot, somewhat reddish or white. So let you know that this skin, this is also used to denote skin color as far as red is concerned, red blood. All right, just like we already showed you here in for Esau, Pudakes, which is fiery red in Genesis 25:25 in the Septuagint. And in the New Living Translation, the first one was very red at birth and covered with thick hair like a fur coat. And I have like a whole bunch of other scriptures that we can go through, but I'm gonna save that for another time because I believe this is a good time to end this, and I think the point was already made. So with that, I hope you brothers learned something. Until the next time, I say shalom.